We're live, Dad. Sit down.
We're live.
We are.
Hey, everybody. Another question and answer. I actually look forward to these. I look forward to answering questions as well as I can. And sometimes we're not perfect. I wanted to mention somebody. Did you see that comment about the Sheridan sofa, Patrick?
No, I didn't. I should apologize too. I actually didn't advertise that we were going on at this time. Because I was so busy this morning.
You had Sheridan spelt like the General Sheridan in the Civil War, where it's not that. It's spelled differently. But we were corrected.
Fix that easily.
Yeah, we were corrected. But that's good. It's fine. We're not perfect. Never said I was. But it's maybe near perfect. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, here we are. What's today? February 2nd, Patrick?
Yeah,
Monday. And we're going to try, we promise to try to make these regular, right, Patrick? Sponsored by Greenhouse Fabrics, sponsoring us. Oh, you know what? I forgot. They gave us some fabric samples for the YouTube channel. I forgot to bring them, Patrick.
Next week.
But we have, I don't know if people could see this. We are a top seller at Greenhouse, and they've given us a pennant for that, which is nice. And I guess I usually end with Greenhouse, Patrick, but so we'll get to these first. The YouTube, and what else do we have here? Facebook, Patrick?
Yep, one by.
Is this Facebook? This one's Facebook? This
one? What did that first?
Jean's a very top contributor. Does she get credit for that? Yes, she does. It says right here, top contributor. How did I know that? And she just did this on January 30th, and we just got another. Did we get a? Okay, that was a customer. But I do want to keep. I'd like to catch up with what my customers are doing and what the challenges of running a shop are, and some recent things that happened today. Maybe I should get to this before I forget. So today, this is interesting, I think, speaking of fabrics. I have a customer that came in with a chair, or a cushion to a chair that had a very large repeat, and they were trying to find a fabric. Michaela, I might ask you a couple of questions about this. Okay. So they had a 27-inch repeat on this woven fabric, believe it or not. And so the woven fabric, that's unusual to have a repeat that big on a woven fabric. Now, are you familiar with the large repeats in the Greenhouse line, Michaela?
We've had a few people that have done those.
But usually it's a print, though, right?
Yeah, it's usually a print.
Usually, so I remember now. What's changed a little bit? I remember that we used to get a lot more woven large prints. Some people still like that. So this customer was looking for something similar. And I showed them the prints, and they wanted something durable too. But the prints usually aren't durable because they're just, printed on a cotton piece of fabric, basically. But the nice thing about that is you could do almost anything in a print, right, Michaela? Yeah. You have an empty palette, as you would say, as an art major, right? As an art graduate, right? Mm-hmm. So you have that blank palette where you basically can do anything. And so I was going down that line, and I thought that that's what they had, but they had a woven. So then, you know what I found, Michaela? The only book in our whole collection, and maybe Sandy or somebody at Greenhouse can correct me on this, and I'm not at the ready to go on their website to see, but the only book I found was the nice tapestry book that they have, and there was a print. It was really, there was at least 3 or 4 that they were going to maybe do from the Greenhouse collection, and that. So it's one of these things that come up. I would call this, what comes up with scale of a piece of furniture. This was just a club chair, not a big club chair. The repeat it's a big repeat, 27 inches. And it just so happened that the fabric that I found was a 27-inch repeat. So they were used to that repeat on that. But I would like to have seen on a smaller club chair, maybe a 14-inch repeat. And this is something that, I don't know, it's just experience, I guess, with all the varying pieces that you have. I think you should pay attention to this if you're selling fabric, because it's more challenging to do a large scale on a smaller piece of furniture. I mean, I would have loved to have seen that on a big sofa, for instance, that 27-inch repeat. It would take a sofa. So my mind's eye, I can actually see it already done, but I have to describe to the customer how I would do that, how I would put a 27-inch repeat on a chair that. So in other words, so let's say there were diamond shapes, and there was all diamond shaped, different colored diamonds on a tapestry, and the diamonds were about this big, about 8 inches. So one diamond would be on the seat, and I took out a tape measure to show the customer. One diamond would be on the seat, one diamond would be on the inside back, and then if you flip, it was a loose cushion. You flip the cushion, you get another diamond, same diamond, hopefully, on the flip side of the cushion. And everything else, like the outside back, you might want to do that too. But everything else, you kind of have to balance the fabric. Uh, um, you're not looking for that diamond necessarily on the inside arm, the two inside arms, and the two outside arms, for instance. You're looking at that point, because it's such a big repeat and a small chair. You're looking for more of a balance. And with color, believe it or not, a lot of times I'll go with the color and not necessarily the pattern. Isn't that it's interesting? I think this is really where people don't think of us as artists. I don't think upholsterers, but Michaela probably can speak on this, right? Michaela, do you know what I'm saying? As an upholsterer, I have to fit the colors and the patterns in and make sense of it, I guess. And that comes with experience. You know how many tens of thousands of pieces of furniture that I've done. That's why we have the YouTube channel for you guys too, so that you guys can maybe learn. And you don't have to go through the pain and suffering that I went through. We had a couple of Happy Monday. RGB says. RGB says. Randy, a 27-inch repeat brings me back to my drapery installation days. That's right. This was like a drapery repeat for sure, for sure. Some of these tapestries are the only one. And Nicole says hello. She has a question too. I think I'm not sure if she emailed me or not. We'll see. So that's what happened today. The challenges of finding fabric and being, also there was another issue with that. They wanted a fabric that would hold up. And at first I suggested a performance fabric, but when I suggest a performance fabric to somebody with this really narrow sight on a fabric, and performance fabrics don't necessarily fit the bill. I've noticed, Michaela, performance fabrics are usually smaller patterns. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
They usually
Or no patterns at all.
or no patterns at all, right? So I quickly we looked at the tapestry and we determined that it had a good cleaning code. It wasn't a performance fabric, but it had a good cleaning code. It had a 50,000 double rub. So I said, this is a fine fabric to use. I think the fabric that she had, which was 30 years old, was not a performance fabric. I think it was very similar to what I had shown. So it's just interesting. I mean, the possibilities in upholstery that between the workmanship and the customers and the fabrics that you pick and the style, your style of upholstering. There's so many. That's what I like about the business. Every day is challenging, and today was one of those days for sure. So Jean has 2 tub chairs. The covers were all sewn in one piece. Even the seat part was attached. New foam and Daycroft. It was a fight to get the cover on. The covers were wider at the top and a lot narrower at the bottom. It was an inch at a time pulling to get them on. Can't say I like this style of cover. So I'll show you a picture. So again, if you guys are new or if not, I pay a lot of attention to some of these videos that we have to stretching and transition lines in upholstery, transitioning padding and transitioning fabric and how to tighten fabric. We do a lot of pin tack, and I still do pin tack, and I actually do pin stapling to speed me up a little bit, which means how pin stapling is. I take my gun and I turn it sideways so the staple doesn't go in all the way, so I easily could take it out. It's my way of saying this isn't a permanent staple. If you guys are just stapling cover on without stretching it, you're not doing it right, and you're going to end up with a big problem. Even if it looks good right from the beginning, it doesn't take too many seatings for fabric to wrinkle, no matter what the fabric is. So, and if you don't get those transition lines, of course, in all fairness to you guys who are beginning, there's a lot of it's skill building in upholstery. So the more you do it, the better you get. And I'm actually encouraged with the industry lately. I really feel good about that people can make a living in this industry now. I really do believe that. I believe that we should start seeing upholstery shops springing up. I really do. I really believe that. I really believe that there's some potential here for profit. I think people, um, I think people are tired of box stores. I think they want to support local businesses. Local meaning like your downtown. I see a revitalization in the downtowns. I see it in Maynard here. We have this beautiful mill building. As a matter of fact, I want to show you a picture I took last night. And this is one of those old-fashioned, mill towns here in Maine and Massachusetts. And I took this beautiful picture. You guys, it's called the Clock Tower. Um, I sent it to Patrick, and I think he had a wise comment about it. I forget what he said, but I don't know how he can joke. I don't know how he found a joke about it. But look at this, you guys. That is Maine and Massachusetts, and that is one of those old mills that they've restored, and that is the clock tower, and that's the moon and the star above. And I think unfortunately there's a lot of vacancies. I thought it was like 50% vacant, but I think one day this is going to come back. Maybe not necessarily industry. I see like little towns in these places, like little villages. I really feel confident that these small towns are going to come back in a big way. It's going to be a lot of small businesses, maybe centered around these mills. I actually seeing it. I'm seeing it happen here. I'm seeing more stores opening. I'm seeing more people, taking a chance on small business. So I'm really happy about that. It only helps everybody when a downtown is doing well. Anyhow, I'm not an economist though, so I don't know any of that. How to choose? This is from YouTube. How to use and choose trim. Thank you. Really, really helpful. And this is Angie from the United Kingdom, Patrick.
Sorry, that's it again.
United Kingdom, Angie from the United
Yes,
Kingdom.
yes.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angie.
Couple
Yeah.
of fans over there.
So that video, I tried to show where to use. So the trims that you have, when you have fabric come to wood, I guess there's not many choices. There's, I'll say single piping because there's a way of putting single piping around, which is really difficult. And I don't think I've ever showed this on YouTube, but single piping is possible, but double piping is usually the best way. And GIMP, which is about the same, I'm holding up my fingers, it's about a half of an inch, which is what you need to cover all your staple attack work and to have a straight line. There is a way of putting single piping on. So there's really three trimmings that you can use. Double piping out of the fabric or contrasting double piping that's handmade. A GIMP that comes in scrolls that you buy. I'm lucky enough down the end of the street, my street on Broadway in Arlington, there's a shop called Playtime, and they actually have this stuff in stock. So I'm really lucky. When I just need some, I'll just go down there and buy. I can buy it by the yard. It's kind of nice to have that source right on the same street. And then single piping, and I'll just describe it a little bit. So what you need to do if you're going to do it, this really requires skill. So I mean, if you guys are confident in doing this, I think Randy and Malcolm, you guys probably can do this, and you might already be doing it. I don't know, but you put a welting before you put the fabric on. You get your padding in place right before you put your fabric on. You run a piping a little bit above the line where you want the piping, about a quarter of an inch, I'd say, quarter of an inch, and run it all the way around, and then take your fabric and come over. Usually you need to fold the fabric, and it can't be a heavy fabric. You need to actually fold it, which is hard to fold and stretch, and then tack that, and then the piping kind of fits into the groove that you created with the piping before you put the fabric on. I don't know if you guys, I wish I could show you this. I don't have anything to show you, but that is a way of doing it. And that, well, some of the furniture was manufactured where they had the groove cut out in the frame. So that's another story. And then you have upholstery where it comes around and attaches on the bottom, and then you have a base welt, which is a single welt. That's not what that video was about with trimming, and we were showing how to pick trim. I think what you could do with trimming, a lot of designers used to do it, is contrast the trimming. If you had a plain fabric, for instance, and then had a stripe fabric, contrast the piping with that. Or if you had a striped fabric and you cut on the bias, that kind of looks cool because it looks like a twill. And there used to be really fancy European trims that we used to get. I have a bag at the shop full of these old trims that I've saved that come in handy sometimes with the antiques. but that's just because I've been around. If you guys are interested, if you want to start an upholstery shop, start looking on eBay for these things and start collecting them. Start collecting a bag full of these. It doesn't have to be a lot, maybe 5 yards, five yards and over of trimming that you have on hand in case a customer comes in. Um, that's just a little suggestion. Now, upholstery on Broadway. Thanks for the lesson. This is from F. Dort, Patrick.
Yes.
Essential upholstery supplies. F. Dort says upholstery on Broadway. I don't remember what video you said it, but you mentioned you lost your curved 8-inch needle. I thought to myself, you would probably make one. You could probably make one. I happened to be looking at a video with a guy, Great Weather Works, in adding leather to a wooden arm. Oh, no kidding. Yeah, that was a sad day in the upholstery world when I lost my 8-inch curved needle. But I have two big foam cushions with all kinds of curved needles and straight needles and button needles that I keep. One I use for the shop, one I use for class, which are going to be starting a class, you guys, in Lexington, Massachusetts in April if all goes well. Right, Pat?
Yep.
Okay, and here's Mr. Sheridan Sofa Cuts. This was a tricky video because Sheridan Sofa Cuts, tips and techniques, is one of the hardest cutouts there are, I think. They're similar, maybe similar. No, Martha Washington chair is a little bit tougher than that, and I think I have one on that. You guys want to check it out? Randy says people are starting to get tired of disposable furniture. Yeah, isn't that true, Patrick? As he sits on his disposable furniture back there.
Of course, they claim this one's supposed to be a little bit better.
So we were corrected, merchant mechanic. Thank you for that. Sorry about that, Patrick. Sheridan, the Sheridan sofa is Sheraton, and we had Sheridan as in Civil War General Sheridan, which is Sheridan. I think that's an easy mistake to make, but maybe you could change that.
I'm trying to find it now. What's it called again?
It's called the Sheridan, but it's spelt like the Civil War General. Sheridan Sofa Cuts, Cutting Tips Techniques. F. Dort says, I'm confused. It said this was part 2, but the couch is almost done. Sorry. In the course of making a living, F. Dort, sometimes, it really is hard. I don't want any mini violins playing for me out there, but if you are playing a mini violin, if you can make it a Stradivarius, that would be great.
Spell Sheridan again, the right way.
Sheraton. You might want to check that, though.
That's like the hotel.
Yeah, Patrick,
hotel.
Google Sheridan sofa, please, to make sure that that's right, because even I'm not the best speller in the world. Make sure it's right. I'm sure it is. So is there a video? Huh?
It is.
Yeah. Is there a video showing the webbing, stuffing, and coverage for the backrest and seat, please? I really wanted to see the rest of the frame. I'm really sorry. I'm not sure if there is. But, on that, because I'm not technically savvy, Patrick, but on the YouTube channel, you can search that just like you do a Google search, right?
Well, admittedly, most of our videos are not complete.
Yeah.
Project on YouTube,
except the paid ones, right? Except the ones A to Z. So I guess the A to Z ones he should be looking at, right?
Yeah.
And we do have a couple of A to Zs in the regular library, right?
We have what was the one with a womb chair?
You don't have to pay for it. But my point here is that you can fill in. You will have to fill in sometimes, and we do apologize for that. But with other videos, and this is good for you from a learning standpoint too. Because sometimes you're on a lot of times we're on our own doing the work, right? So at least it's somewhere. I would guarantee that it's somewhere. Webbing, placement, and stuffing and all this is somewhere in the library, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
So my question to you is, if somebody goes on our YouTube site, you guys probably think that I'm a little old school here, but if they search webbing, that should come up in a video, right?
I think we have.
I know we have.
15 videos on webbing. I think.
I know, but the point is that it's on there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. F. Dort says again, you cracked me up. Thanks for the lesson and laughs. Note to self: keep Kevin away from fabric shares when he sees poor workmanship. There was some angry snipping. I don't know what he means. Upholstering an office chair? Oh, it's probably a joke there somewhere. And then F. Dort again. We love the content, right, Patrick? The comments. Keep them coming.
A lot of good questions.
I'll try to read them all.
I remember they told us the name. I forgot. That's what they're using.
He's very proficient. Oh, he or she. It's Fern. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. You do this every time. It's tough to keep track of.
She wants to know when the next live one is, Patrick. But you might want to tell people that you might be away, right?
I'm going to Denver,
so
I'll be back.
We might have a break next week. I'm glad she brought it.
Why don't we do Friday of next week?
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
How to post a Biedermeier. So Fern, you seem like you're really gun ho, and I would encourage you to keep it up and to practice, and before you know it, maybe you'll have your own shop. She says, when I use this, if that's what you want, when I used to sew regularly, that's a big plus if you can sew too. I worked with silk and satin, another big plus. If you can work with silk and satin, you can work with anything. Slippery and frayed. Drove myself nuts. I used a thin smear fabric glue or sewed a reinforcement ribbon around the edges to reduce the fraying. Would that be allowed with restoration? What about sewing a layer of much cheaper material on the back? I almost dropped my phone when you said $500 a meter. That is ridiculous. Talk about our new overpriced. Granted, it turned out nice, but it wouldn't be me. I think on that Biedermeier, we were doing a customers chair. A lot of times you see, that's another problem, I will say, in defense of kind of skipping. These are customers pieces, so sometimes the piece has to get out of there. So Patrick might not be around, and I just have to finish because the customer's looking for their piece of furniture. And people are really good about letting us, use their furniture for that. We use a different name. No, I'm just kidding. F. Dort again says, thanks for the lesson. This is how to upholster 19th century Biedermeier chairs. This is part 1. What does the conservative say is allowed to be done to reinforce the wood if the frame is broken? It depends on the use. If it's still being used in a household, a regular use, I think you need to do a better job than if it were being displayed in the museum. We've done museum pieces where it's just a display, nobody sits on it. So there is a difference there. What can be used to fill in holes? I think wood glue is fine. I mean, I know that they used horse glue, I think. It depends too on what museum you're working for. I mean, if you're a conservative at a museum, they probably want you to search out that type of glue, horse glue, to fill the holes. But I don't think there's any problem with Elmer's glue if I'm doing, let's say I did the Napoleon chair, for instance, for a private person. In that case, they just needed it done. They were using it, if you can believe it. And I did do a really good job in it. I did keep as much of the original material as possible. Any replacement material was organic or natural. I just repaired a 1860 Empire sofa in a house, and everything was natural. It had the jute webbing, it had wool, it had horsehair, it had hay, and it had mohair. All of them, but the customer loved it. The customer loved the fact that it was all organic, and of course the wood of the sofa. So, I mean, if you put this thing outside in the garden and just leave it there for 200 years, it would just turn into what? Nice fertilizer, right, Patrick? There was nothing wrong with it like that. No synthetic anywhere. The only thing synthetic was me. The only thing phony about that sofa was the guy doing it. Did you like that joke, Patrick?
It's all right.
They say in comedy there's a rule of 3 self-effacing. No, 2. You do 2 self-effacing, and the third one people start feeling sorry for you. Did you know that? And you don't want your audience to feel sorry for you. Right, Pat?
Is that whole concept of Seinfeld?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think that comes from him. I don't know where I heard that from. She. Okay, Fern, sorry. Patrick, will you keep reminding me about that?
No, it's tough to keep track of everybody.
So she's working on her own shop, and but it looks like this might be the name of Dusty Wood Adventure in Nova Scotia. My family came down from Nova Scotia originally. Just a shout out to Fern's business. If you guys ever see a store opening, Dusty Wood Adventures, I highly recommend it.
I know
Uh,
we couldn't. She posted a bunch of links with what
Yeah.
she was commenting. I couldn't open them up. I think that might be her video. I'm not sure.
so then she goes on to say about, well, this is another one, how to upholster padding on a chair. Thanks for the lesson. You kept saying there wasn't much to staple to. I understand some has to be staple for structure. When you added the horsehair, can you sew it down to stop it from shifting instead? I've never worked with horsehair, just padded some. If the wood is really riddled, do you fill with epoxy or wood fill? Yeah, I do glue. I'll fill in with glue, wood glue. Um, but sometimes I have to bite the bullet and send it to a professional refinisher too. I don't do really refinishing or wood cutting for a reason. If you guys are cutting wood or sanding uh, for finish or even finishing, be careful. I don't think the two mix very well. I've been in shops where they did both, and what happens is little fibers from sanding or cutting wood, they're in the air, and it's like a magnet to some fabrics. You cannot get that out. Cannot get that out no matter what you do. Some fabrics it's just a magnet. So I don't do that. Everything's sent out. How to 8-way tie and upholstery. Um, Fern says, thanks for the lesson. By any chance, do you have another video with this technique? We have certainly come along with photography. I'm hoping you'll have one with better focus. Yeah, that was one of the early ones, Patrick. I remember that. But I think, again, aren't the A to Z or the paid videos, don't they have 8-way tie? I
Yeah,
think.
they got definitely the settee, didn't the settee?
And then we had a tease on a ribbon chair. What is this thing? I don't remember that, but I
No,
remember.
that was that white one, remember?
Oh yeah,
You struggle with the
I thought you were going to show the whole thing, Mister. Again, I'm sorry.
whatever that means.
I'm sorry, Brian. It's just that the customers wait. Where is that chair? And then Patrick's not around. And it gets done and it's gone. And you'll come in the next day and say, "What happened to the chair?"
So that's why we started all our classes to begin with.
Yeah, sorry about that. Again, you probably just have to fill in with other things, other techniques that I show. Although on that chair, it's a little hard to find anything. That was such an unusual chair. And then a ribbon chair is, what is this thing? Oh, it's another comment that she has. Such an interesting chair. Thought you might appreciate seeing a couch from overseas. And she sent a link, Patrick, but I'm not sure
No, that's what I was.
what that was.
I couldn't open it.
Oh, I should say that Merchant Mac, there's another comment from him about the Sheridan, but I forgot to say that he's correcting us, but he or she, I'm not sure. I love your videos,
Right,
by the way.
that wasn't nasty.
Huh?
That wasn't a nasty.
No, it's okay. Fern says on the amazing 1800 sofa, and I just did this. I have to tell you about this job I did. It was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it was up on the third floor loft of an elderly woman's home, and it was this 1860 umpire sofa that she originally I went out to look at it, and she thought I was going to pick it up and bring it to the shop. But no, here's another thing you have to be good at, you guys: knowing what can go out of a house and what can go into a house. Looking at a job, especially at a sofa, before you commit to it. I mean, there was no way that this sofa was going to leave this third floor. And so she was elderly, so I was asking her, did it come up? She first said yeah, and then she said, oh, wait a minute, I think I remember it going out the window. So therefore, it was delivered with a rig. I mean, they had to rig a crane, Patrick, to bring that thing in. And there was no way, cranes today, how much do you think it would cost would have blown the estimate completely out of the water? How much do you think it would cost to hire a rigger to come into Harvard Square, to go up to a third floor window?
Is that the one where it wouldn't fit in the elevator?
No, that was another one.
Seems to happen a lot.
So what do you think? What do you think that would cost?
Thousands of dollars.
Probably, I would say 4 or 5,000. Easy, easy. Because you're talking about a machinery, the crane, 2 men, and taking the window off and everything else. So that's what I determined. She was elderly, and the thing was just falling apart. You guys, the whole seat was caved in, and I liked her, so I said we spent a Sunday afternoon, my wife and I, in there doing the sofa. Well, my wife went and she met a friend while I was doing the sofa, and it was nice. It's a nice experience. Sometimes, you just do the right thing. It doesn't. Did I make any money? No, but a little bit. But I had to practically bring the whole shop to the third floor and on my hands and knees. It was hard work, but it was worth it. It was fun. She was happy. And then Fern says, oh, no, I already read that. Fern says on this one, upholstering an office. Wow, she sees every video.
No.
She says, yes, my goal is to repurpose or refurbish things to keep them out of the landfill. One of your videos, you said that is what you do. There's a reason I like your channel. And then she calls me a big teddy bear. We'll have to ask my wife about that. Maybe one of those teddy bears losing its stuffing and it's just ripped open. I could use a little stuffing removal, actually, Patrick. I wish it was that easy.
Oh, I've learned that the hard way recently.
Yeah. Don't you wish it was that easy, that you had a zipper and you just take the stuffing, the extra stuff?
Well, you do, but
Mom would love that, wouldn't she?
You would die.
Well, I guess that's the flip side to that. Randy says, fill with wood glue and sawdust mixture. Randy, listen to Randy Fern.
Cool.
By the way, your friends on this comment section, a lot of them know a little bit more about the wood end of things than I do, and Randy's one of them.
That's a real good way to recycle.
And she says she's been binge watching. Oh boy, you poor thing.
Hope she's not too scared.
Let's see. I think this was a repeat page, Patrick, actually.
Yeah, it was one comment.
And I can't read. You got one in here that I just can't. I can't read it. It's so small. Well, I'll try. How to choose trim? No, it's the same one. Okay, so let me get to more of fabric. I like this segment. I use Greenhouse Fabrics. I love them down there in North Carolina. Love the idea that they're a woman-owned company. Although they don't discriminate, I talked to the first man answered the phone down there the other day, Patrick, which is good. I mean, I don't think
I heard they don't like Boston people.
No,
That's what I heard.
they love Boston people.
We win too much, right?
Yeah, well, we got it. Let's see. We got a text. Let's see. Well, nothing to show you there. So I just finished this job. It's an oversized chair. It's an oversized club chair that had just a loose cushion. But typically on club chairs, no skirt, no arm caps, and 8 yards, I quoted, and it was just enough. I was happy to be able to do the job in 8 yards. It was a huge herringbone. I wish I could show you. I don't have a picture of it from Greenhouse. It was a 4-inch, believe it or not, a 4-inch herringbone. You guys probably never heard of that. I didn't. Michaela, have you ever heard of a herringbone that big, that wide?
No, I don't think so.
Usually I think of a herringbone in a fine men's or women's suits, like it would be about 1 inch wide, maybe even smaller, or maybe at the most 2 inches. This was 4 inches, you guys. So if you guys probably know what a herringbone, for those of you who don't, it has these diagonal stripes this way, and then the next stripe, it reverses itself. So this was challenging because it had pullover arms. So did I pay attention to matching the pullover arm to the seat? Yes, I did. Because if it didn't match, this was difficult. It's difficult matching something that has to be pulled. So you're pulling the arm to make it tight and around the front, and you're trying to match that one of those herringbone stripes to the seat, which was underneath the pullover arm, if you know what I mean. And of course, the cushion had to be matched to the back and the seat. So, you know, really, when you think about it, if you have a difficult fabric, you wonder, should you charge more for labor? Yeah, probably, but then you might not be able to sell the fabric or the job with it. So you really have to get good at this, and you really have to um, plan ahead and just really work it out in your mind. If it's too much trouble, don't do it. But having a good fabric company behind you, you're going to get a fresh fabric, which is really important. I can't tell you how many fabrics I got over the years, customers' own material that they probably bought off a shelf somewhere in an old store or somewhere else, or a new consignment store. It doesn't matter. But the fabric, fabric has a shelf life. It's like, milk is 10 days. Fabric has a shelf life too. It might not be 10 days. But, sometimes you get it, Michaela. Have you ever seen a fabric that's dry, that's dried out?
From what people have brought in, yeah.
It could be dried out. It could have been. I mean, when you think about it, it's been sitting in a warehouse with the humidity, with the cold, and has these temperature fluctuations and everything else. Makes a big difference. So, but having a fabric that's difficult with a 4-inch herringbone on a club chair like that, it was being a fresh fabric that helped. The fabric. What that means is the fabric's going to work with you. It's not going to work against you. So if you're finding a fabric is fighting you, working against you, you might want to consider that that it may have been just outdated. Does that make sense to you guys? Randy probably has some ideas about this. Oh, we got some other people on. Deborah's here. She says, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you forever. We're still alive and ready to go." And then Randy says on wood, he used another mini wax product that is used as a wood hardener. And Fern says, "I hear you on matching patterns. I just installed contact paper and a rock pattern on my bathroom and wall, and the pattern was slightly stretched in places. It is frustrating." That brings up a good point too. On the welting, this cushion was welted with the 4-inch or any stripe. Keep in mind, one advantage that manufacturers have over us is machinery. So when a manufacturer does a cushion, believe it or not, a manufacturer like a stripe cushion, you'll always see the piping is perfect, and you say, "Wow, that person who did that really took care in making sure the stripe matched the boxing and the top of the cushion." They actually have a machine that does the whole thing at once. It's a whole run of fabric, and it makes the cushion all at once. So they can't help but have a stripe match. So if you're selling a job with stripe, it's all really important. Like on this herringbone, I cut on the bias. Cutting on the bias makes a better cushion anyhow, but it actually gives a real stylized, custom look to cushions or piping or double piping or things like that. So it's important to really accentuate the custom part of what you're doing, because it is you do have to take time. It's a single part. You do the piping separately, as you guys have seen the videos for sewing. You know that everything's done separately, and I would never try to match a stripe because it's very difficult, and usually doesn't end up, even if you get the stripe to match, it doesn't end up making a good cushion with the puckering. You have the puckering issue, so keep that in mind. A bias cut on a fabric, no matter what it is, stripe or solid or damask or tapestry, always makes a better welting anyhow. So keep that in mind. House of Nambia, Patrick.
Nico. That name I do remember.
Nico's here. Hi, folks. Client calling. Need to go. Bye. Bye, Randy. And House of Nambia says, "Missed you all." House of Nambia says, "I feel so much better knowing that." I'm not sure what she's referencing.
I wonder if she's still gonna. She was talking about coming to take your class.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if she was joking or she's really gonna do it.
I don't know. It'd be fun to have. I wish we could do that. I wish we could. I was going to say, I wish we had a tropical island to go to have these classes.
All the vacations with Karen.
The only requirement would be to have Scotch guarded fabric. right, Patrick? Or performance fabrics, just in case we want to go
We
out.
get a upholster out of the beach.
Yeah, we could water ski and upholster slip seats at the same time. What do you think?
I'm sure Jimmy would love that.
I heard from Jimmy today.
Yeah, how was it?
She says it's good. It's good to watch. Fern says it's good to know about what I just said about the sewing, because she's really beating herself up if it's not perfect. But again, I think I gave her the solution on how to make it look great and not try to match the stripe. I don't care how good you are. It sometimes doesn't read. Deborah agrees with that. I think it was about matching patterns. When are we leaving? Deborah says. Patrick, you got tickets?
Ask Jimmy. He can fund the whole thing. I heard he's rich.
A House of Namia says, "Oh, where can I find your hand tying spring video? I'm gonna start my first one." So she can go on the YouTube channel and put in how to tie hand springs or 8-way tie, maybe.
Yeah,
Patrick,
8-way tie
right?
is one of our oldest.
But I should tell you that Fern
Yeah.
was saying that it's one of the oldest ones. The focus expertise wasn't as good as it is today, I think.
Shot with a cell phone. We did refilm that, so the newer one.
There's a newer one on this. Sometimes there's multiple ones, which is good. It's just so take a look at that. So I could talk forever about that. So that was a good fabric from a greenhouse for that job. And then I got another job. Actually, I think Randy, you'd be interested in this. Or somebody was mentioning, maybe I was mentioning manufactured furniture. I just did a chair. This doesn't happen a lot, but it was a workbench chair because, and I was really impressed with this workbench chair. It really was put together well. So this is an example of some newer manufactured furniture that I approve of. I mean, it was nice the way it was done. And it came out fantastic. Workbench has a specific style, and then I have a big note here. So my work order looks like this. I won't show you the work order, but the name, the phone number, and texting has become such an important element to my business because people can text pictures. Before it was you'd have to go out to the house. This is such a time saver. So you get a text message with the picture. You can look at it. I can estimate the yardage and also how much the labor is. But I have a work order with all the fabric amounts and also the labor. I separate that out, and I make sure I'm really good at this. I very rarely make these mistakes. Not put down. I always put down style changes or no style changes or all my work order information is on one place right here. And then on this slip, they were local. So I offered free pickup and delivery, which sometimes is an incentive, or sometimes that helps in the sale. So you're always trying to get these new sales, these sale elements going. So let's go to the next order. Boy, I think Greenhouse must love me, Patrick, because most of these are their fabrics. So this guy comes in with 4 dining room chairs. They were high top chairs, wooden chairs with upholstered seats, and the wood frame with the chair was 3 of them were loose. So I told him in this case I don't usually get into a lot of repair work, but sometimes what I'll do is just because I'm taking the fabric off here and I know what's going on inside the chair, and I have that little I'll say I won't even charge it to tighten it up while I'm in there. But keep in mind, I'm not a woodworker. I'm not a professional woodworker. So I'm not going to be putting extra brackets in there or anything like that. And I'm not even going to punch it out and sand the dowels. Rather, I'm gonna reglue it. I'm gonna clamp it. And I did tell him that his chairs have a problem. And most dining room chairs are like this. Most antique side chairs are like this. Think Victorian side chairs. Just the side chairs. The armless chairs is what I'm talking about. They are not meant to lean back on, period. They are only decorative. The backs are only decorative. And we don't know how to sit on furniture. We collectively don't know how to sit on furniture. So I tell people, I told this customer, I'll do it, I'll glue it. But if somebody really leans up against this because they're high backs, you're going to be at the same spot. And he agreed with that. And that's why I didn't charge him. So, you kind of make these, isn't that smart from a business standpoint? What, Patrick?
I hate to do it, but we have a flight to catch.
Oh,
4 o'clock.
it's 4 o'clock. Wow.
Finish that one up and then
So
we've been on for 45 minutes.
wow.
Yeah.
I'll finish up with the comments too, but there's never enough time. So again, another shout out to Greenhouse. Thank you for being. I consider them great partners, and look forward to Patrick maybe linking the websites. We need to work on this,
Right.
and work a little bit more with Greenhouse and for people, and maybe people are going to be purchasing fabric through us through Greenhouse. We're thinking about that. We still haven't really thought it out, but we think they're a perfect match for the YouTube channel. With most of what I talked about today was about fabric placement and patterns and all that. So I'm going to finish. I'm going to just read some of the comments here, and then we're gonna take off. House of Namibia says, thank you. Nicole says, is there a video describing specifically two-way stretch techniques? She's talking about fabrics. I think the pin tacking, just look for anything with pin tacking on the fabric, and that's what we're talking about. Two-way stretch she's talking about. Yeah, no, that's what all pin tacking is, really, is two-way stretching. And you'll see it. The first pinning isn't. But then as you go along with the half side and half side, you'll see. It's all over. We have many of those, you guys. You should be able to find those. And then she says, Fern says, I highly recommend Ange Sauna in Santa Clara. It's a small adult only resort. Let's go.
I hope that isn't what I think it is.
House, I don't believe that. The House of Name says safe travels to Patrick.
Thank you.
So no live show next week, Patrick?
And then we'll be back.
And what date is that? Friday? I hope
me and Michaela can do a tour. We should visit Randy on the way back. We're going out to Denver.
Oh, no kidding. Did you hear that? Well, Randy had to leave, but Randy, if you see this later, Patrick's going to be out the Midwest. He'd like to drop in and see you. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. I probably could talk all day, but Patrick does have to catch a flight. So we'll see you next time, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
So next Friday.
Yep.